Billionaire stopped for coffee at Starbucks until his ex stood there holding his baby. The Starbucks on Sunset in Silver Lake had a broken air conditioner. Again. Hadley Reynolds could feel the heat pressing in through the windows, even though it was only March, that weird LA spring where you never knew if you needed a jacket or not. She shifted Noah higher on her hip, his small fingers tugging at the collar of her shirt, the same faded grey one she'd worn yesterday because laundry was one of those things that kept getting pushed to tomorrow. 28 years old, and her life fit into a one-bedroom in Echo Park, with bars on the windows and a landlord who never fixed anything. The apartment smelled like old carpet and whatever her neighbor cooked every night, something with garlic that made her stomach turn. She'd stopped noticing most of it. You got used to things when you didn't have the energy to fight them anymore. Noah squirmed in her arms, reaching for the display of overpriced travel mugs. 1-year-old, and already he had opinions about everything. His hair stuck up in the back no matter how many times she tried to smooth it down, and his shoes, the cheap ones from Target, were already getting too small. She made a mental note to budget for new ones next month. Maybe. "Next," the barista called out, sounding exactly as tired as Hadley felt. The line moved forward. Hadley did the math in her head. Grande iced coffee, nothing fancy. That was $4 she could have saved. But she'd been up since 5 with Noah crying about his teeth coming in, and the morning at work had been a special kind of hell involving her boss's ex-wife calling 17 times and someone losing the backup files for a commercial shoot. She deserved the coffee. Probably. Someone behind her was on their phone, talking too loud about a meeting that got moved. The espresso machine hissed and sputtered. The whole place smelled like burnt beans and that artificial vanilla syrup they pumped into everything. Noah pressed his face against her shoulder, overwhelmed by the noise. "It's okay," she murmured, rubbing his back. "Almost done." She'd learned to talk to him like that, constant reassurance. Like if she said it enough times it would become true. "Almost done. We're okay, everything's fine." Everything wasn't fine, but Noah didn't need to know that yet. The bell above the door chimed. Hadley didn't look up. Why would she? It was just another person joining the overpriced coffee ritual. She was too busy trying to keep Noah from grabbing the hair tie off her wrist, the one she'd been meaning to use all morning but kept forgetting about. "Grande iced coffee," she told the barista when her turn finally came. "Just black." The girl behind the register had blue streaks in her hair and a nose ring that looked infected. She barely looked at Hadley while ringing her up. $4.37. Hadley handed over a 5, got the change, dropped it in the tip jar because she remembered what it was like to work for minimum wage and fake smiles. She stepped to the side to wait, bouncing Noah absently. He was getting heavy. She could feel it in her lower back, that constant ache that never really went away anymore. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Probably work, probably something else going wrong, but she didn't check it. Couldn't. Not with Noah doing his best to launch himself out of her arms toward a woman's purse on the counter. "Noah, no!" "Hadley?" The voice came from behind her. Male. Familiar in a way that made her entire body go cold before her brain could even process why. She turned slowly, already knowing, already feeling that sick drop in her stomach, like missing a step in the dark. Cole Harrison stood 3 feet away from her, looking exactly like someone who'd never had to choose between coffee and new shoes for a kid. Tailored shirt, white, crisp, probably cost more than her rent. Dark jeans that actually fit. Hair that looked like he'd just run his hand through it, effortless. He'd always been good at effortless. 36 and completely unchanged. Same sharp jawline. Same blue eyes that used to look at her like she was something worth keeping. Same mouth that had said things he couldn't take back. "Cole." Her voice came out flat. Neutral. She'd practiced neutral. His eyes went to Noah immediately. She watched him do the math, saw it happen in real time across his face. The confusion, the realization, the question he didn't want to ask. Noah chose that exact moment to reach for Cole's watch, fascinated by something shiny. Hadley pulled him back. "Sorry," she said. "He grabs everything." Cole's mouth opened, closed. He looked like someone had just told him the floor was actually the ceiling. The barista called out someone's order, venti caramel macchiato with oat milk. The espresso machine screamed. Someone dropped a cup and it shattered near the bathroom, and the blue-haired girl swore under her breath. "You—" Cole started, then stopped. Ran a hand through his hair. There it was. The tell she'd forgotten about until just now. He always did that when he didn't know what to say. "You're in L.A.? "Echo Park," she said, like it mattered. Like geography could explain anything. "I thought you—" He stopped again. His eyes kept going back to Noah, who was now trying to eat Hadley's phone case. "How long have you been back?" "I didn't leave. Not really." That was a lie. She'd left. Gone to her cousin's place in San Diego for 3 months, hiding from everything including her own reflection. But she'd come back. L.A. was expensive and terrible, and she hated it. But it was still cheaper than starting over somewhere completely new. Grande iced coffee for Hadley. She grabbed it without looking at the barista, buying herself 5 seconds to figure out what to say next. The cup was already sweating in her hand, condensation soaking into her palm. Cole hadn't moved. He stood there in the middle of the Starbucks, like someone had pressed pause on him while the rest of the world kept going. "How old is he?" His voice was quieter now. "Careful." Hadley looked down at Noah, who was pulling at her earring hard enough to hurt. "1. He just turned 1. She watched Cole do more math, watched him arrive at the answer, watched his jaw tighten. "Hadley, don't." She said it soft but firm. "Not here." "Then where?" "I don't know." She shifted Noah to her other hip, her arm burning. "I gotta go. I'm already late for work." She wasn't. She had 40 minutes before she needed to be at the office, but she needed out of this coffee shop, away from Cole's face and his expensive shirt, and the way he was looking at Noah like he'd just discovered something he'd lost a long time ago and never expected to find. "Can I—" He stopped, started over. "Can we talk? Later?" Hadley took a sip of her coffee. It was too strong and slightly burnt and exactly what she'd needed 5 minutes ago, when her biggest problem was being tired. Now it tasted like nothing. "I don't know what you want me to say, Cole. I want you to tell me if—" He glanced around, suddenly aware they were having this conversation in public, lowered his voice. "If he's mine." There it was, the question. The only question that mattered. Hadley looked at him for a long moment, at the man she'd walked away from 18 months ago, after he'd told her he wasn't ready for anything serious, that she wanted too much too fast, that maybe they should take a break. The man who'd stood in her apartment, her old apartment, the one with actual heat and a bathroom door that closed properly, and made her feel like asking for commitment, was the same as asking him to jump off a bridge. She'd left that night, driven to her cousin's. Found out she was pregnant 3 weeks later while sitting on the bathroom floor of a CVS, staring at 2 pink lines and trying to remember the last time anything had made sense. "Yeah," she said finally. "He's yours." She didn't wait for his reaction, just turned and headed for the door, balancing Noah and her coffee and her bag that kept sliding off her shoulder. Behind her she heard Cole say something, her name maybe, or wait, or something else she didn't have the capacity to process right now. The heat hit her the second she stepped outside. That dry LA heat that made everything feel slightly unreal, like you were living inside someone else's dream. She got Noah into the car seat in the back of her Honda Civic, 15 years old. Check engine light permanently on. Air conditioning that only worked if you hit the dashboard at the right angle. Her hands were shaking. She realized it when she tried to buckle Noah in and missed the clip twice. "Mama," Noah said, looking up at her with his wide blue eyes. Cole's eyes. How had she never noticed how much he had Cole's eyes? "I know, baby," she whispered. "I know." She sat in the driver's seat for a full minute before starting the car. The steering wheel was hot enough to burn. There was a parking ticket tucked under the wiper. Street cleaning she'd forgotten again, and the gas light had been on since yesterday. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it. Unknown number. "This is Cole. Can we please talk?" She stared at the message. The cursor blinked. She could see him through the coffee shop window, still standing in the same spot, phone in his hand. She put her phone face down in the cup holder. The engine turned over on the 3rd try. Cole didn't go to his meeting. He sat in his car in the Starbucks parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at his phone like it might suddenly explain what the hell just happened. The leather seat was hot against his back. The AC was blasting, but it wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. A kid. Hadley had a kid. His kid. He'd done the math 3 times already, and it kept coming out the same. 1 year old, that meant Jesus. That meant she'd been pregnant when she left. When they'd had that fight in her apartment. The one where he'd said all those things he'd spent months trying not to think about. His phone buzzed. Janet from the office. "Where are you?" "Kenji's waiting." He typed back, "Running late. Start without me." Kenji Tanaka was flying in from Tokyo for exactly 4 hours to discuss the Series B funding. This meeting had been on Cole's calendar for 6 weeks. He'd prepped for days. And now he was sitting in a parking lot in Silver Lake having some kind of delayed panic attack over a woman he hadn't seen in over a year. He opened his messages, scrolled up to the text he'd sent Hadley 20 minutes ago. Still no response. Read receipt off, of course. The last time they'd texted was September of last year. He remembered because it was right after the fight. She'd sent, "I need space." He'd sent back, "How much space?" She never answered. He'd waited a week, then 2. Then he'd convinced himself it was better this way. Clean break, no messy lingering, both of them moving on like adults. He'd gone on exactly 3 dates in the past 18 months, all of them disasters. All of them ended with him making excuses and leaving early because nobody was Hadley. And now she was back, with his son. He didn't even know the kid's name. Cole started the car. The Tesla made no sound, just that weird electric hum that still felt wrong after 2 years of ownership. He pulled out of the parking lot without knowing where he was going. Muscle memory took him toward the 10, toward Santa Monica, and his apartment with the ocean view he never looked at. Traffic on Sunset was the usual nightmare. Construction near Echo Park, ironic, that's where she said she lived now, then a fender bender near Fairfax that had everyone rubbernecking. He sat there, inching forward, watching a guy on a motorcycle weave between cars like he had a death wish. His phone rang. Janet again. "Yeah," he answered. "Cole, what's going on? Kenji's getting impatient. Tell him I had an emergency." "What kind of emergency?" "Good question. Family thing." There was a pause. Janet had worked for him for 3 years. She knew he didn't have family in LA. His parents were in Boston, and he saw them maybe twice a year at Christmas, and that one obligatory summer visit where everyone pretended things were fine. "Okay," she said slowly. "Should I reschedule?" "No. Marcus can handle it. He knows the numbers." "Cole, I gotta go." He hung up before she could argue. The traffic finally cleared near La Cienega. He made it to his apartment in 25 minutes, parked in his assigned spot, number 4012, between a Porsche and another Tesla because, of course, and took the elevator to the 14th floor. The apartment was exactly how he'd left it that morning. Spotless. The cleaning service came twice a week, everything in its place. Kitchen counter empty except for the espresso machine he never used because he always grabbed coffee on the way to work. Living room with the couch he'd bought because the designer said it was the right scale for the space, not because it was comfortable. He stood in the middle of it and felt nothing. His phone buzzed again. Not Janet this time. Marcus. "Meeting went fine. Kenji wants dinner tonight. You available?" Cole typed, "No," then deleted it. Typed, "Maybe. I'll let you know." He tossed his phone on the couch and walked to the window. 14 floors up. You could see the ocean if you looked past the other buildings. Grey-blue and flat today. No waves worth mentioning. Tourist families would be down there anyway, paying $20 to park and getting sunburned while their kids screamed about wanting ice cream. He'd taken Hadley to the beach once, June before last, before everything went sideways. They'd driven up to Malibu, found that spot past Zuma where hardly anyone went. She'd worn a blue swimsuit and tied her hair up, and spent an hour looking for sea glass she never found. He'd watched her the whole time, thinking this was it. This was the thing he'd been avoiding his whole adult life, and it turned out it wasn't scary at all. Then, 3 months later, he'd ruined it by opening his mouth. "I'm not ready for anything serious." What the hell did that even mean? He'd been 35 years old, Not some college kid freaking out about labels. But he'd said it anyway, and she'd looked at him like he'd just told her everything she'd already suspected. And then she was gone. Pregnant. She'd been pregnant and he'd told her he wasn't ready. Cole pressed his forehead against the window. The glass was warm from the sun. His phone rang again. He ignored it. Whoever it was could wait. He thought about texting Hadley again, typed out 5 different messages and deleted them all. Can we talk? Too vague. I want to meet him. Too demanding. Why didn't you tell me? Too accusatory. And he already knew why. Because he'd been an asshole. Because she'd had every reason to think he wouldn't want to know. Finally, he just typed, "I'm sorry." Sent it before he could overthink it. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. His heart was doing something weird in his chest. The dots vanished. No message came through. "Damn it," he said out loud to his empty apartment. He needed to think. He was good at thinking. It was literally his job, taking complicated problems and breaking them down into manageable pieces. So, facts. 1. Hadley had a kid. His kid. 2. She'd been raising him alone for almost a year. 3. She hadn't asked him for anything, hadn't told him, hadn't tried to find him. 4. He'd been living 20 minutes away the entire time. That last one kept circling back. 20 minutes. Same city. He could have run into her any time in the past year, at a grocery store, on the street, anywhere. But he hadn't, because LA was huge, and you could live your whole life without seeing the same person twice if you tried hard enough. Except this morning, in a Starbucks with a broken AC on Sunset in Silver Lake. His phone buzzed. Finally. Hadley, don't apologize over text. He stared at the message. Typed, "In person then." "When?" The reply took 3 minutes. "I work until 5. Noah goes to bed at 7. Tomorrow? Lunch?" Another long pause. Then, "There's a park near my place. Echo Park Lake. 12:30. I'll be there." The dots appeared one more time. Then, "Don't bring anything, and don't expect this to be easy." The dots disappeared. The conversation ended. Cole looked around his apartment again, at the spotless counters and the designer couch and the ocean view he paid extra for, at the life he'd built that looked good on paper, and felt hollow every time he walked through the door. He thought about Hadley in that coffee shop, holding a kid with hair that stuck up funny, her shirt wrinkled, her bag sliding off her shoulder, looking tired and real and like someone who'd survived something hard without him. He sat down on the uncomfortable couch. His phone buzzed. "Marcus. Dinner's at 8. Nobu. Kenji's bringing his head of finance. Need you there." Cole stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed, "I'll be there." Because that's what you did. You showed up. You handled your responsibilities. You didn't blow up your company's biggest funding opportunity because your ex-girlfriend showed up with a kid you didn't know existed. But first, tomorrow, the park, Hadley, and a conversation that was about a year overdue. He got up, walked to his bedroom, opened the closet. Everything organized by color and type. Shirts on one side, pants on the other. He'd always been like this, neat, controlled, every piece of his life in its proper place. Except now, there was this kid, Noah. He didn't even know his own kid's full name. Cole pulled out his laptop and sat on the edge of his bed, opened a browser, typed "What do one-year-olds like?" into Google and immediately felt like an idiot. The search results were overwhelming. Toys, books, developmental milestones, things he should know and didn't. He closed the laptop. Tomorrow. He'd figure it out tomorrow. His phone buzzed one more time, a text from a number he didn't recognize. "This is Hadley. Don't make me regret this." He saved the number, stared at her name in his contacts. The last time she'd been in there, it had a heart emoji next to it. He'd deleted that after the 3rd week of silence, telling himself it was time to move forward. Forward. Right. He lay back on his bed and looked at the ceiling. There was a water stain near the corner that the landlord kept promising to fix. He'd stopped noticing it months ago. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Outside, somewhere far below, he could hear a siren wailing. He didn't sleep that night. Echo Park Lake looked nothing like the postcard version tourists posted on Instagram. The water was murky green, dotted with paddle boats shaped like swans that hadn't been white in years. Trash floated near the edges. Plastic bottles, a deflated balloon, something that might have been a shoe. The grass needed cutting. Somewhere across the lake, a speaker was blasting reggaeton loud enough that Hadley could feel the bass in her chest. She'd been here 20 minutes early, regretted it immediately. Noah was in his stroller, fighting the straps and making that whining sound that meant he'd rather be anywhere else. She didn't blame him. It was hot, that thick LA heat that made the air feel solid. Her shirt was sticking to her back. She'd changed 3 times that morning before settling on jeans and a plain white t-shirt, then felt stupid for caring what she looked like. This wasn't a date. This was a reckoning. "Mama," Noah complained, arching his back against the stroller. "I know, baby, almost done." That was a lie. She had no idea how long this would take. 5 minutes? An hour? However long it took for Cole to decide what kind of father he wanted to be, if he wanted to be one at all. She checked her phone. 12:28. He'd be here soon or he wouldn't, and she'd have her answer either way. A group of teenagers walked past, one of them on a skateboard that kept hitting the ground wrong, the sound echoing across the park. 2 women sat on a bench nearby, speaking rapid Spanish, one of them gesturing dramatically, while the other nodded and unwrapped a tamale. The smell made Hadley's stomach growl. She'd skipped breakfast and lunch. Food seemed impossible when your entire body was wound tight enough to snap. 12:31. Maybe he wasn't coming. Maybe last night he'd thought about it, really thought about it, and decided this wasn't his problem. She could see it. Cole had always been good at compartmentalizing. That's what made him successful. That's what made him impossible. Noah kicked his feet, one shoe flying off and landing in the dirt. Hadley bent down to grab it, and when she straightened up, Cole was there. He'd parked on the other side of the lake and walked over. She hadn't even seen him coming. He was wearing jeans and a grey t-shirt, casual for him, which meant it probably cost more than her car payment. Sunglasses hiding his eyes, hands in his pockets like he didn't know what else to do with them. They stared at each other for a second too long. "Hi," he said finally. "Hi." He took off his sunglasses, looked at Noah. The kid was chewing on the stroller strap, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air around him. "Can I—" Cole stopped, started over. "What's his name? I realized I don't know." "Noah. Noah," Cole repeated, like he was testing it out. "That's good. That's a good name." Hadley didn't respond. She bent down and put Noah's shoe back on, buying herself time to breathe. "Can I sit?" Cole asked, gesturing to the bench. She nodded. He sat on the far end, leaving space between them. Good. She needed space. Noah immediately twisted in his stroller to look at Cole, curious about the new person. "Hey," Cole said quietly. "Hey, Noah." Noah stared at him, didn't smile. Just that serious look he got when he was trying to figure something out. Then he went back to chewing on the strap. "He's teething," Hadley said, because the silence was worse than talking. "Everything goes in his mouth right now." "Does it hurt, the teething?" "Yeah. He was up most of last night." Cole winced. "And you still came?" "I said I would." Another silence. Across the lake, someone's phone rang and didn't get answered. A duck quacked. The reggaeton kept thumping. "I didn't know," Cole said. "I need you to know that." "If I'd known—" "You would have what?" Hadley cut him off. "Proposed? Moved me into your fancy apartment? Played house? I would have been there. Would you?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "Because the last time we talked, you told me you weren't ready for anything serious. That was your exact phrase. Not ready for anything serious. And now there's a kid. So what? You're suddenly ready?" Cole's jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "None of this is fair." Noah started fussing again. Hadley unstrapped him from the stroller, lifted him onto her lap. He was getting heavy. She could feel it in her shoulders, in the small of her back. Every day a little heavier. Cole watched them, something complicated crossing his face. "Can I hold him?" he asked. Hadley hesitated. Every instinct screamed no. This was her kid, hers. She'd carried him, birthed him, stayed up with him every single night for a year. She'd done it alone. And now Cole wanted to just, what? Walk in and play dad? But Noah was his too. That was the truth she'd been avoiding since yesterday. "He doesn't know you," she said carefully. "He might cry." "That's okay." She shifted Noah toward Cole. The kid went willingly enough, curious about this new person. Cole took him awkwardly, like Noah might break, held him too stiff, arms at weird angles. "Support his back more," Hadley said, trying to keep the edge out of her voice. "Yeah, like that." Noah looked up at Cole, then at Hadley, then back at Cole. His face crumpled. "Hey, it's okay," Cole said quickly, panic flickering across his face. "You're okay." Noah started crying, not screaming, just that sad whimpering that always killed Hadley. "He wants you," Cole said, already handing him back. Hadley took Noah, tucked him against her shoulder. "Shh, baby. You're okay, Mama's here." Noah buried his face in her neck, his tears hot and wet against her skin. Cole sat back, ran a hand through his hair. There it was again, that tell. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "He's one, he cries, it's what they do." "I don't know what I'm doing," Cole admitted. I don't know how to do this." "You think I did?" He looked at her. "How did you manage? This whole time?" Hadley rocked Noah gently, feeling him start to calm down. "I just did. You don't really have a choice when there's no one else." "To your family?" "My mom's in Arizona with husband number 3. My dad's been gone since I was 6. I have a cousin in San Diego who let me crash on her couch for a while, but that's it." She kept her voice level. "So, yeah, just me." Cole was quiet for a long moment, watching her with Noah. The kid had stopped crying now, thumb in his mouth, eyes getting heavy. It was past his nap time. "I want to help," Cole said finally. "However that looks. Whatever you need." "I don't need your money." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, stared at the ground like the answers were written in the dirt. "I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't do that if you shut me out." "I'm not shutting you out. I texted you back. I'm here." "Barely." "What do you want from me, Cole?" Hadley felt something crack in her chest. "You want me to make this easy for you? To act like the last year didn't happen? Like I wasn't alone and scared and—" She stopped, breathed. Noah was asleep now, heavy against her. "I came back to LA when I was 6 months pregnant. Moved into the cheapest place I could find. Worked until I literally couldn't anymore because maternity leave doesn't exist when you're a contractor. Had him at Cedars. The bill was $17,000. I'm still paying it off." Cole's face had gone pale. "Hadley, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you so you understand. This isn't something you can just fix with a check or a sorry I wasn't there. Now this is real. This is a whole person who exists now because of something we did, and I've been doing it alone, and that doesn't just—" Her voice cracked. She stopped, collected herself. "That doesn't just go away because you showed up." The silence stretched between them. Noah snored softly. Across the lake, the teenagers had started playing soccer with a half-deflated ball. "I was wrong," Cole said quietly. "About what I said. Last year. I was scared and stupid and wrong." "Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say?" "I don't know." He looked at her. Something other than okay. Hadley shifted Noah's weight, careful not to wake him. "I spent a lot of time being angry at you, like actually angry. The kind of angry where I'd imagine running into you and having this whole speech prepared about how you screwed up my life and how I'd do just fine without you." She paused. "And then yesterday happened, and I didn't have a speech. I just had this." She looked down at Noah, and all the anger just felt tired. "I'm too tired to be angry anymore." "So what do we do?" "I don't know." "That's not helpful." "I'm not trying to be helpful, I'm trying to be honest." A woman jogged past with a dog that looked part pit bull, part something else. The dog lunged at a squirrel, The woman yanked the leash. They kept moving. "Can I see him again?" Cole asked. "Tomorrow, this weekend, whenever works for you?" Hadley considered it. The smart thing would be to say no. To protect Noah from someone who might disappear again, the second things got hard. But she looked at Cole's face and saw something she hadn't expected. Actual fear. He was scared. Of this, of failing, of not being enough. Good. He should be scared. "Saturday," she said. "Morning 10, same place. What should do I bring anything?" "Just show up. That's all I'm asking." Cole nodded, stood up, looked down at Noah sleeping against her shoulder. Something crossed his face. Regret, maybe, or loss. The recognition of time he'd never get back. "Thank you," he said, "for giving me a chance." Hadley didn't respond. Just watched him walk back toward the parking lot, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. When he was gone, she let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Noah stirred, made a small sound in his sleep. "Just us again, baby," she whispered, "like always." But it wasn't just them anymore. That was the truth she'd have to get used to. The reggaeton finally stopped playing. The teenagers packed up their ball. The two women on the bench finished their tamales and left. Hadley sat there until Noah woke up, cranky and confused. Then she put him back in the stroller and walked home. Saturday came too fast and not fast enough. Cole showed up at 9:47, which meant he'd been sitting in his car for at least 10 minutes working up the nerve. Hadley watched him from across the parking lot while she wrestled Noah out of his car seat. The kid had decided he hated the car seat today, arching his back and screaming like she was torturing him. I know," she muttered, finally getting him free. His face was red and splotchy, tears streaming down his cheeks. "You're so dramatic." She grabbed the diaper bag, overpacked as always, like she was preparing for an apocalypse instead of a morning at the park. Wipes, diapers, change of clothes, snacks, sippy cup. 3 toys Noah would ignore, sunscreen. Her own exhaustion packed in there somewhere too. Cole was out of his car now, walking toward them. He dressed down again. Jeans, black t-shirt, sneakers that looked brand new. Of course they did. "Hey," he said when he reached them. "Hey." Noah had stopped crying the second he saw something new to look at. Now he was staring at Cole with those big eyes, still hiccuping from the tantrum but curious. "Rough morning?" Cole asked. "He hates the car seat. Has for the past 3 days. No idea why." Hadley shifted Noah to her other hip. "Last week he loved it. This week it's the enemy. Kids are weird." "Yeah." They stood there for a second, neither of them knowing what came next. "So, Cole said, I brought something." "I told you not to." "I know, but..." He walked back to his car, popped the trunk, came back with a small bag from some boutique toy store Hadley had walked past 1,000 times, but never went into because she could feed Noah for a week on what they charged for a stuffed animal. "Cole, it's just a ball and like a thing that makes noise." He pulled them out. A soft rubber ball with different textures, and some kind of musical toy covered in buttons. The woman at the store said they're good for 1-year-olds, developmental or whatever. Hadley wanted to be annoyed, wanted to tell him you couldn't buy your way into this. But Noah's eyes had lit up at the sight of the ball, and he was already reaching for it with grabby hands. "Ball," she said to Noah. "Can you say ball?" Noah just grabbed it and immediately tried to eat it. "Not food, baby." Cole laughed, this short surprise sound like he hadn't expected to. "Does he eat everything?" "Everything. I caught him trying to eat a piece of chalk at the park last week." Should he do that?" "No, that's why I stopped him." She readjusted the diaper bag on her shoulder. "Come on. There's a playground on the other side." They walked along the path circling the lake. It was cooler today, that perfect LA morning before the heat really kicked in. Joggers passed them, going the opposite direction. A guy was sleeping on a bench near the water. Shopping cart full of his stuff parked nearby. 2 teenage girls sat on the grass taking selfies, making those faces people made when they thought no one was watching. Noah bounced in Hadley's arms, gripping the ball and babbling nonsense at it. "He talks a lot," Cole observed. "It's not talking. It's just sounds." "How do you know the difference?" "You just do. He'll say mama sometimes and like no is definitely a word now. But the rest is just..." She paused as Noah let out a string of consonants that sounded almost like words but weren't. That. Cole smiled. Really smiled, not the polite version. That's insane. That humans start like this and then just become people. Yeah, it's weird when you think about it. They reached the playground. It was busy. Weekends always were. Kids everywhere, screaming in that high-pitched way kids screamed when they were happy. Parents looking varying degrees of tired, standing around the edges, holding coffee cups and making small talk they didn't want to have. Hadley set Noah down in the sand near the toddler area. He immediately dropped the ball and went for a handful of sand instead. Noah, no. She grabbed his hand before it reached his mouth. It's not food. He looked betrayed. I know everything's very unfair. Cole sat down in the sand next to them, apparently not caring about his jeans. What can he do, like walking and stuff? He's walking, sort of. He cruises a lot, holds on to things, and walks along them. And he can stand on his own for a few seconds before he falls on his butt. Can I see? Hadley stood Noah up. He wobbled, grabbed onto her leg for balance, then took 2 unsteady steps before sitting down hard, laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. Again, she said, standing him back up. This time Noah took 3 steps before Cole caught him. The kid looked surprised, staring up at Cole like he just remembered this person existed. Hey, buddy, Cole said softly. You're doing good. Noah's face crumpled. Oh, no. Cole looked panicked. Just give him back, Hadley said quickly. He's not used to you yet. Cole handed Noah over. The kid buried his face in Hadley's shirt, not quite crying, but close. Sorry, Cole said. I'm screwing this up. You're not. It takes time. She rubbed Noah's back in small circles. He was like this with my cousin at first, too. Stranger danger is a real thing at this age. I don't want to be a stranger. Then keep showing up. They sat in the sand for a while. Noah eventually calmed down and went back to investigating everything within reach. Sand, the ball Cole brought, Hadley's shoelaces, a stick that was definitely gross. Other kids played around them. A little girl about Noah's age toddled over, stared at him, then toddled away. Noah didn't seem to notice. Does he go to daycare? Cole asked. Can't afford it. My neighbor watches him when I'm at work. She's got a 2-year-old, so... Hadley shrugged. It works. What if I... No, you didn't let me finish. You were going to offer money. Would that be so bad? Hadley looked at him. I don't want your money, Cole. I want... She stopped. What did she want? I don't know, but not that. What then? I don't know, she said again, frustrated. I've been doing this alone for so long, I don't know how to do it any other way. Cole was quiet for a moment. Noah had found a plastic shovel someone left behind and was hitting it against the ground, fascinated by the sound it made. Can I tell you something? Cole said. Sure. I'm terrified. Hadley almost laughed. Of what? All of it. That I'll do this wrong, that I'll let him down, that I already have. He picked up a handful of sand, let it fall through his fingers. I had this whole life figured out, you know. Company's doing well, I've got the apartment, the car, all the shit that's supposed to mean you made it. And then Thursday happened and I realized none of it matters. Like at all. Welcome to parenthood. Does it get easier? No idea. I'll let you know when I figure it out. Noah dropped the shovel and crawled over to Cole. Stopped right in front of him, studying his face with that serious expression he got. Hey, Cole said carefully, not moving. Noah reached out and grabbed Cole's nose. Cole went cross-eyed, trying to look at his own face. Hadley bit back a smile. He does that, just let him. Noah squeezed, then let go. Moved on to Cole's ear, then his hair, tugging just hard enough to hurt. Gentle, Noah, Hadley said. Gentle hands. Noah ignored her, fully committed to his investigation of this new person. He poked Cole's cheek. Cole stayed perfectly still, looking like someone had just handed him a bomb and told him not to drop it. You're doing fine, Hadley said. I don't feel fine. Yeah, that's pretty much constant. Noah finished his inspection and crawled back to Hadley, apparently satisfied. Climbed into her lap and stuck his thumb in his mouth, eyes getting heavy. Is he tired? Cole asked. Yeah, he'll fight it for a while. But, She rubbed Noah's back. Morning nap's usually around now. Should we go? Probably. Neither of them moved. A kid screamed on the other side of the playground, happy screaming, not hurt. A dog barked somewhere. The sun was getting higher, hotter. Hadley could feel it on her shoulders, that prickly warmth that meant she'd burn if she stayed out much longer. "Can I ask you something?" Cole said. "You're going to anyway. Why didn't you tell me?" He held up a hand before she could answer. I'm not trying to start something. I just need to understand." Hadley looked down at Noah, half asleep in her lap. "Because I was scared." "Of me?" "Of what you'd say. Of what you wouldn't say. Of—" She tried to find the words. "When I found out I was pregnant, I was staying at my cousin's, sleeping on her couch. No job, no plan, just nothing. And all I could think about was that fight we had. You telling me you weren't ready. And I thought, how do I tell him this when he already told me what he wanted? Which was not this." Cole's jaw tightened. "I was an idiot." "Yeah, you were. But I didn't make it easy either. I could have called. I could have—" She shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe I was punishing you. Maybe I was protecting myself. Probably both. Do you regret it? Keeping him?" "Never. Not once." She looked at Cole. "But I regret how it happened. I regret the fight. I regret a lot of things." Noah's breathing had evened out, fully asleep now, heavy and warm. "We should get him home," Hadley said quietly. "Yeah." Cole stood up first, offered his hand. Hadley took it. His palm was warm, familiar in a way that made her chest tight, and let him pull her up. Noah stayed asleep through the movement, head on her shoulder. They walked back to the parking lot slowly. Cole carried the diaper bag without being asked. "Can I see you guys again?" he asked when they reached her car. "Next weekend? Or during the week? Whatever works." Hadley shifted Noah's weight, tried to open the car door one-handed. Cole reached over and opened it for her. "Thanks," she said. Got Noah into the car seat without waking him. Small miracle. Closed the door carefully, turned back to Cole. "Yeah, you can see us again." "Yeah? Don't make me regret it." "I won't. You say that now." "I mean it." They stood there, 2 feet apart in a parking lot in Echo Park, and for just a second, less than a second, Hadley let herself remember what it felt like when things were good between them. Before the fight, before everything got complicated. Cole's phone buzzed. He ignored it. "You should get that," she said. "Might be work." "It can wait." But the moment was already broken. Hadley grabbed her keys. "I gotta go. He'll be up soon and cranky." "Okay, okay." Neither of them moved. Then Cole did something unexpected. He stepped forward and hugged her, just pulled her into his arms like it was the most natural thing in the world, and for a second, Hadley forgot how to breathe. He smelled the same. That expensive cologne she used to steal his shirts just to have around. Cedar and something else she'd never been able to name. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, his voice right next to her ear. "For all of it. For being an idiot. For missing almost a year. For everything." Hadley's hands came up automatically, rested on his back. She felt his heartbeat through his shirt. Steady. Real. Then she stepped back. "Don't apologize," she said. "Just be here." "I will." She got in her car, started the engine on the second try. Backed out carefully while Cole stood there watching. In the rearview mirror, she saw him standing in the parking lot long after she'd turned onto the street. Her hands were shaking on the steering wheel. 3 weeks changed everything and nothing. Cole started showing up. Not just weekends, Tuesdays after work. Thursday mornings before meetings he'd rescheduled. That random Wednesday, when Hadley's neighbor cancelled and she had no one to watch Noah. He'd driven across town in rush-hour traffic, walked into her apartment like he'd been there 100 times, and spent 2 hours on the floor building block towers for Noah to knock down. The apartment was worse than he'd imagined. Not dirty. Hadley kept it clean, but small, cramped. The kitchen was barely big enough for one person. The bathroom door didn't close all the way. Noah's crib took up half the bedroom, which meant Hadley slept on a mattress on the floor in the living room. her clothes in a pile in the corner because there was no closet space left. Cole hadn't said anything about it, but Hadley saw him looking, saw him doing that thing where he tried to keep his face neutral, but his jaw did that tightening thing it always did when he was bothered. Tonight was different. Cole had texted earlier, "Can I take you both to dinner?" Hadley almost said no. Dinner felt like a thing, like a statement, but Noah had been fussy all day and she was tired of microwaved leftovers, so she'd said yes. Now she was standing in her bathroom, the door half open because it wouldn't stay closed, trying to figure out if she should change. She'd already changed twice. First the jeans felt wrong, then the dress felt like trying too hard. Now she was back in jeans and a different shirt and she still felt wrong. "This is stupid," she muttered to her reflection. Her hair wouldn't cooperate. She'd washed it that morning, first time in 3 days, and it was doing that thing where it dried weird on one side. The concealer under her eyes wasn't hiding much. She looked tired. She was tired. That was just life now. Noah banged on something in the living room, probably his sippy cup against the coffee table. She'd told him 100 times not to do that. He did it anyway. Her phone buzzed. Cole. Outside. She grabbed Noah. He was indeed hitting the coffee table with his cup and wrestled him into a clean shirt. He fought her the whole time, arching his back and yelling like she was killing him. "I know, buddy. Life's so hard." She got his shoes on, grabbed her purse, the same one she'd been carrying for 3 years, strap held together with safety pins. Locked the door on the second try because the lock always stuck. Cole was leaning against his car, scrolling through his phone. He looked up when he heard them coming down the stairs, put his phone away, smiled. That easy smile he had, the one that used to make her forget why she was annoyed at him. "Hey," he said. "Hey." He'd dressed down again. Dark jeans, navy button-up with the sleeves rolled, still looked expensive but less obvious about it. "You look nice," he said. "I look tired." "That too." He grinned. "But nice tired." She rolled her eyes but felt something warm in her chest anyway. Cole opened the back door, and Hadley strapped Noah into the car seat she'd transferred over earlier. The kid went willingly for once. Small miracle. He was in a good mood tonight, babbling to himself and kicking his feet. "Where are we going?" Hadley asked once they were moving. "You'll see. That's not ominous at all. It's not fancy, I promise." He drove them to Silver Lake, to a taco place tucked into a strip mall between a laundromat and a nail salon. The kind of place that didn't look like much from outside, but always had a line out the door. "Maria's?" Hadley said as they pulled into the parking lot. "How did you—" "You mentioned it once, last year. Said they had the best al pastor in L.A. She had said that, on their second date, maybe their third. She couldn't believe he remembered. They got a table on the patio, plastic chairs, metal table that wobbled, string lights overhead that definitely weren't up to code. Noah sat in a high chair the waiter brought over, immediately trying to grab everything on the table. "No, baby," Hadley said, moving the salsa out of reach. "Not for you." She pulled out the snacks she'd brought, those little puff things that dissolved in his mouth, pieces of banana that were already getting brown. Noah grabbed a handful of puffs and shoved them in his mouth all at once. "Gentle," she said automatically. Cole watched them, something soft on his face. "What?" Hadley asked. "Nothing. Just, you're good at this." "At what? Keeping a 1-year-old from choking?" "At all of it." The waiter came by. They ordered al pastor tacos for her, carnitas for him, extra tortillas for Noah to destroy, horchata for both of them because Cole had never had it, and Hadley insisted. "You've lived in L.A. for how long and never had horchata?" she said. "I don't get out much." "You get out. You just go to places with wine lists. Fair." The food came fast. Hadley broke off pieces of tortilla for Noah, who mashed them in his fists before attempting to eat them. Most of it ended up on the floor. Some of it made it to his mouth. He was happy either way. Cole tried the horchata, made a face. "That's sweeter than I expected." "Too sweet?" "No, it's good. Just sweet." They ate, talked about nothing important, traffic, the heat, a documentary Cole had watched about something Hadley forgot immediately. Easy conversation, the kind they used to have before everything got complicated. Noah started getting restless about halfway through, that warning fussy that meant they had maybe 10 minutes before a full meltdown. I should probably, Hadley started. Yeah, let's get him home. Cole paid, wouldn't let her split it even though she tried. They got Noah back in the car. He fell asleep before they made it to the freeway, head tilted to the side, mouth open. He always sleep like that, Cole asked, glancing in the rear view. Like what? Like someone unplugged him. Hadley smiled. Yeah, 1 second he's screaming, the next he's out. That's wild. They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Traffic was light for once, some kind of miracle. The city lights blurred past. An ambulance wailed somewhere far away. Can I ask you something? Cole said. Sure. Are you happy? Hadley looked at him. What kind of question is that? An honest one. She thought about it. About her apartment with the broken lock and no closet space. About the bills stacked on her counter. About working 40 hours a week while her neighbor watched Noah, praying the kid didn't get sick because she couldn't afford to miss work. About doing it all alone for a year. I don't know if happy is the right word, she said carefully. I'm surviving. Some days are good, some days are not. And now? With me around? I don't know yet. Ask me in another month. They pulled up outside her apartment. Cole killed the engine. They sat there in the dark, Noah still asleep in the back. I need to tell you something, Cole said. Hadley's stomach dropped. Here it comes, she thought, whatever reason he had for bailing, for realizing this was too hard. Okay. I talked to my lawyer. Her blood went cold. Your lawyer. Not like that. Jesus, Hadley. He turned to face her. I want to set up a trust for Noah, and I want to help. Officially, child support, whatever you need. Cole. And I want custody. Not full custody. I know that's not... He ran a hand through his hair. I just want it legally recognized that he's mine, that I'm his father, that I'm not going anywhere. Hadley's throat was tight. You talk to a lawyer. Is that... Are you mad? I don't know what I am. She looked out the window, at her building with the bars on the windows, at the life she'd built with duct tape and stubbornness. You can't just... This isn't something you can solve with lawyers and money. I know that. Do you? Because it feels like... She stopped, breathed. I've been doing this alone for almost a year. Almost a year, Cole. And now you show up and suddenly there are lawyers and trusts and... I'm trying to do the right thing. The right thing was being there from the beginning. The words hung between them, sharp and true. Cole's jaw tightened. I can't go back and fix that. I know. So what do you want from me? I don't know. Her voice cracked. I don't know what I want. I want... She looked at Noah in the back seat, still sleeping, completely oblivious. I want him to have a father. A real father, not someone who shows up when it's convenient. That's what I'm trying to be. Trying isn't the same as doing. Then tell me what to do, because I'm... His voice dropped. I'm drowning here, Hadley. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be what you need. I need you to just be here, that's it. No lawyers, no money, just show up. I am showing up. I know. She was crying now. When did that start? I know you are, and I'm terrified. Of what? That you'll leave again, that Noah will get attached and you'll decide this is too hard and... She wiped her face. I can handle being alone. I've been handling it, but I can't watch him get hurt. Cole reached over, took her hand. His thumb rubbed across her knuckles, that same gesture he used to do when they were together. I'm not leaving, he said quietly. I'm not perfect. I'm going to screw up, probably a lot, but I'm not leaving. How do I know that? You don't. You just have to trust me. Trust isn't really my thing anymore. I know I ruined that. He squeezed her hand. Let me earn it back. They sat there, hands linked, while Noah slept and the street light flickered above them. Okay, Hadley said finally. Okay? Okay. She pulled her hand back. But if you hurt him, I won't. If you hurt him, I will destroy you. You understand? Yeah. He almost smiled. I understand. She got out of the car, carefully unbuckled Noah. He stirred but didn't wake. Cole walked them to the door, stood there while she fumbled with the lock. Hadley? She turned. He looked like he wanted to say something. A dozen things. settled on, "Thanks for trusting me. Don't make me regret it." "I won't." She believed him. Against every instinct that told her to protect herself, to keep her walls up, she believed him. "Good night, Cole." "Night." She closed the door, stood there with Noah in her arms, listening to Cole's footsteps on the stairs. His car starting, driving away. Noah made a small sound in his sleep, curled closer to her. "Just you and me, baby," she whispered. Then quieter. "And maybe him too." The apartment was too hot. The AC was broken again, had been for a week. She put Noah in his crib, watched him settle without waking. Her phone buzzed. "Cole, I meant what I said." She stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "I know." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Cole, can I take you both to the zoo next Saturday?" Noah seemed interested in the ducks. Despite everything, she smiled. "Hadley. He's interested in everything, but yeah, Saturday works." She plugged in her phone, changed into the t-shirt she slept in, one of Cole's actually, from before. She'd forgotten she had it until now. It was faded and worn, and still somehow smelled like him. She lay down on her mattress on the floor, stared at the ceiling with its water stain that looked like Florida. For the first time in almost a year, she fell asleep without that familiar weight of loneliness pressing on her chest. 6 months later. The apartment in Echo Park still had bars on the windows, but now there was a new coffee maker on the counter, the kind that ground beans fresh, that Cole had insisted on buying after drinking Hadley's instant coffee one too many times. Noah's toys had taken over the living room. A framed photo sat on the bookshelf. The 3 of them at the zoo, Noah pointing at something off camera, Hadley laughing, Cole's arm around her shoulders. It wasn't perfect, the lock still stuck, the AC still broke every other week. Hadley still slept on a mattress in the living room, still worked too many hours, still worried about money more than she wanted to admit. But Cole's toothbrush was in the bathroom now. His jacket hung by the door. Some nights he stayed over after putting Noah to bed, falling asleep on Hadley's mattress with his arm draped across her waist. Some mornings he was there when Noah woke up, and the kid would climb over both of them, stepping on ribs and pulling hair until someone got up to make breakfast. It wasn't the life either of them had planned, but it was theirs. Hadley stood at the kitchen counter, barely big enough for one person still, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. Through the window she could see the sun starting to rise over the buildings, that early morning light that made everything look softer than it was. Behind her she heard the bedroom door creak. Noah's babbling, Cole's voice, low and rough with sleep. "All right, buddy, let's go see Mama." She turned. Cole walked out carrying Noah, both of them rumpled and half awake. Noah's hair stuck up in every direction. Cole's t-shirt was on backwards. She could see the tag at his throat. "Morning," Cole said. "Morning." Noah reached for her. She took him, felt his solid weight against her hip. He smelled like sleep and that baby shampoo that was supposed to be tear-free, but definitely wasn't. "Mama," Noah said clearly, then looking at Cole, "Dada." It was still new, that word. Noah had started saying it 2 weeks ago. Cole had cried, actually cried the first time. Tried to hide it, but Hadley saw. "You want breakfast, baby?" Hadley asked. Noah nodded, solemn. "Nana." "Banana. Yeah, we can do that." Cole moved around the tiny kitchen, getting a banana from the counter, peeling it, breaking off pieces. They'd developed a rhythm over the months. Silent communication. He knew where everything was now. Knew Noah only ate bananas if they were broken into exactly the right size pieces. Knew Hadley liked her coffee black, no sugar, hot enough to burn. "You working today?" he asked. "Half day. I'm off at noon." "I can pick up Noah from your neighbors, take him to the park." "You sure? Don't you have that meeting with—" "Rescheduled it." He handed Noah a piece of banana. "I'd rather be at the park." Something warm spread through Hadley's chest. She sipped her coffee to hide whatever her face was doing. They ate breakfast together, Noah in his high chair creating abstract art with banana mash, Hadley standing at the counter because there weren't enough chairs, Cole leaning against the fridge scrolling through work emails he'd get to later. Normal, mundane, perfect. "I've been thinking," Cole said, not looking up from his phone. "That's dangerous." "Shut up," He smiled. I want to talk about, he gestured vaguely. This, us, whatever we're doing. Hadley's stomach tightened. Okay. I don't want to rush you. I know we're figuring things out. And that's fine. But I need you to know. He finally looked at her. This isn't temporary for me, none of it. Cole, just let me finish. He set his phone down. I know I screwed up. I know it's going to take time to prove I'm not going anywhere. But I love him. I love Noah, and He stopped, started again. I never stopped loving you. The words hung in the air between them. Noah banged his sippy cup on the tray, oblivious. Hadley's throat was tight. You can't just... I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm just telling you where I'm at. Where you're at is my kitchen at 7 in the morning with your shirt on backwards. Yeah. He smiled soft. Yeah, I am. She wanted to say it back. The words were right there. But her mouth wouldn't cooperate, and her heart was doing something painful in her chest, and... I need time, she said finally, I know. And I need to know this is real, not just you trying to do the right thing because there's a kid involved. It's real. How do I know that? Cole walked over to her, stood close enough that she could see the stubble on his jaw, the tired lines around his eyes. He'd been tired lately, working long days, then driving across town to be here, putting Noah to bed, falling asleep on her floor, waking up early to do it all again. You don't, he said. You just have to trust me. That's what you said 6 months ago. And I'm still here. He was. That was the truth she couldn't argue with. He'd shown up, every time, even when it was hard, even when Noah was sick and cranky, and Hadley was taking her frustration out on anyone nearby, even when work was drowning him, and he could have made excuses. He'd shown up. Okay, she said. Okay. Okay, I trust you. She paused. I'm working on it. The trust thing, but, yeah. Something shifted in his face. Relief, maybe, or hope. He leaned down, pressed his forehead against hers. They stood like that, breathing the same air while Noah threw banana pieces on the floor and laughed at the sound they made. I'm going to kiss you now, Cole said quietly. Okay. He did. Soft and careful, like she might break. Like this was something precious he'd almost lost and didn't plan on letting go of again. When they pulled apart, Noah was staring at them, banana forgotten. What? Hadley asked him. Noah pointed. Dada, Mama. Yeah, baby, Dada and Mama. He seemed satisfied with that, went back to destroying his breakfast. Cole's phone buzzed. He ignored it. You should get that, Hadley said. Later. Cole. Later. He pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her. She could feel his heartbeat through his shirt. Steady. Real. Just 5 more minutes. She let herself have it. 5 more minutes of this. Of standing in her too small kitchen with her son throwing food, and the man she'd loved and lost, and was slowly learning to love again. The coffee went cold. Work emails piled up. Noah's banana ended up mostly on the floor, but they had this, and for now that was enough. Final message. Sometimes the hardest thing about love isn't falling into it, it's figuring out how to stay when everything falls apart. This story wasn't about perfect people making perfect choices. It was about 2 people who hurt each other, who made mistakes, who had to learn that showing up is harder than saying sorry. That trust isn't something you demand. It's something you earn, day by day, choice by choice. Hadley didn't need Cole to rescue her. She'd been surviving just fine on her own, but she did need him to be present, to be honest, to prove that love wasn't just a feeling you had in the easy moments, but a choice you made in all the hard ones. And Cole? He had to learn that being a father, being a partner, wasn't about having all the answers. It was about showing up even when you're terrified, even when you don't know what you're doing, even when you'd rather run, because some love stories don't start with a meet cute. They start with a failure, a fight. 18 months of silence and a chance encounter in a coffee shop with broken AC. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly where they needed to start. Have you ever had to rebuild trust with someone after it was broken? What made you decide they were worth the risk of trying again? Your participation means a lot to the channel. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for staying till the end. If you felt something, anything, smash that like button and subscribe because we've got more stories where love isn't easy, but it's worth it. But